34 laps here last year. He also had his best finish ever of second. After racing full-time for more than 6 seasons, though, his race team suspended operations back in January. Ed did race this year's Indy 500. He's returned to start in 3 of the last 4 races of the year. So what does an Indianapolis born and raised driver do when he's off the track? We found out this week.
All right, so we're going to pick McKenna up from school. She goes 3 days a week. Number one, there's no passing in the carpool line. The head of the school's name's Joni. She's probably as strict as Barnhart's been in race control this season. I haven't even tried to break any of the rules. Haven't tried to pass in line just because I don't want to know what the consequences are. Hey, monkey. Did you have an accident? Did you have fun today? Yeah. So much for me thinking you were going to be shy around the camera, McKenna. What's your boyfriend's name, McKenna?
Izzy.
Do you like Ryan or Ezzy better?
Izzy.
Ezzy. Did you hear that, Ryan? Ryan Hunter Ray's after my daughter. You're in second place. There's a lot of great things about being a driver, but you can't beat this time with your daughter, that's for sure. You want me to carry your bag, or are you going to carry it?
He's always been able to help when I need help.
No. I do dishes, I clean toilets. I've kind of become known as a handyman. I think I did all the tile work and all the bathrooms.
He can fix about anything.
Hold on, I got to do this real quick. Go talk to Mommy. You know, we don't have much help with the kids. You know, drive normal cars, don't have a fleet of cars. I don't need a car payment, so I was just like, you know, what the heck, I'll drive this. You know, it's not that big of a deal what I drive. It gets me where I need to go, so it's not fancy, but it works.
What kind of ice cream are we going to get? Chocolate and pink. I think the biggest thing is people are surprised how normal and down to earth he is. I think it frustrates me more than anything is people think that he, because of who his family is or whatever, he is a certain way or has lived this life or whatever, but he's one of the most normal people you'll ever meet.
Go to sporting events, take my kids to basketball games and stuff, you know, just like I did when I was little, so just kind of do the same things that I've always done. So here we are in legendary Hinkle Fieldhouse, you know, the historic season here last year with the team going all the way to the national championship. For me being a grad, you know, it was a lot of fun, you know, seeing a lot of great games here, but last year was extra special. These are my seats. I got 12 and 13 all season long, and part of who I am going to this school. It's a great basketball school. You know, this is a great place to watch basketball. This is where, you know, where I grew up, this, you know, Washington Township here, so we wanted to be in this area. It's a nice place to live.
People have always say, once you have kids, does your mindset change on the racetrack? But I think it was kind of the opposite. You
know, I'm a race car driver. I don't have a desire to do anything else. For me, having kids, you know, I don't think it slowed me down. It's just given me that much more, you know, desire to be successful and, you know, get going full time again, you know, to make sure I can put money away for college for these guys and stuff like that, and, you know, make sure they're taken care of. You stink. All right, looks like we gotta go. Little man's got a dirty diaper, so see you guys later.
Oh, yeah, we know all about Mr. Poopy Pants in the Floyd household. I've got a 2- and a 5-year-old. We're coming out with these, selling them in the souvenir stands next week. What do you think?
Your kids' poop must stink more than mine. If you've got to wear the mask, I don't know.
Oh, their stuff stinks. Don't think they don't. I know your dad and all.
Yeah, you get used to it.
Now, looking at family, I'm thinking of where was your mom and Tony George yesterday when you have this great moment, you take your first ever pole. Where were they?
They're back in Indy. Tony came up but had to go back for some meetings. They missed it, but they're here now, so that's what's important.
How incredible was it? Did they call you or did you talk to them first?
They had left me messages before I got back to my phone, but I talked to them pretty soon after I got back to my phone, so it was a special day, but, you know, tonight's what it's all about.
Now, watching that piece, you know, we saw Butler, and we saw what Butler did last year in basketball, come up a little short. Does that kind of play in your mind at all when you were watching that game going, I was the underdog last year at Kentucky. I could have won. I could have done it.
It was different, but I threw a Butler logo on the car today anyway just to see if it'll give us that little bit of extra what we need.
All right, tell me about the car. You have a teammate to work with, a very fast teammate, qualifies third. Does that help? It has to, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Dan's been a great teammate, you know, just being a part of the Panther team, working with the National Guard, everybody, you know, it really lifts you up and helps you do special things, so hopefully we can carry on through tonight.
Many people were surprised as you can just jump into a car and go out there and do as well as you did both last week and this. Were you surprised at all yourself?
I mean, I don't want to sound cocky, but not really. You know, I've been so excited to get back in the car for whatever race I'm going to do that, you know, you gotta take the opportunities you get and make the most of them. So that's all I'm trying to do.
Just a few feet away from a win last year. What did you learn from last year's race?
Just, you know, how to run with the big boys and the confidence to know that I can do it. So hopefully I'll just do a little bit better tonight.
Amazing. Ed Carpenter starts on the pole. He has a pole, his first ever. Will he get his first ever win, Lindy Thaxton, tonight?
We'll see, but Robbie, save that mask and give it to me later since I have to share a rental car with you. Thank you very much, Robbie. Catch you later. All right, back to something serious now. Choosing how much downforce you use on these ovals is a pretty big deal because you can either have a great race or you can have a 300-mile struggle the entire time. Let's head down to Jack Root in our Performance Pit Center.
So what is the difference, Lindy, between high downforce and low downforce? About, 30 pounds of drag and over 200 pounds of downforce. But at Chicago, we had some teams that elected to go with low downforce. Almost all the teams here, because of the bumpy nature of the Kentucky Speedway, are going with high downforce. Let me show you how you can tell if they're using the high downforce application. Of course, wing angle and ride height come into play, but I want you to look at cars when they go out in this rear area. What it involves is called a side pod extender that extends the side pod with this piece of carbon fiber and then what's called a tire kickup. Here's the way it looks on the car itself. It creates an extension of the side pod, increases the available downforce, and creates more grip in the corners. Now, I checked with most of the teams tonight. Because of the bumpy nature, they're all going with the high downforce. But they can still reduce a little downforce by utilizing ride heights and wing angles within the rules. But because of the bumpy nature of the racetrack, you got to be careful with your ride heights or you'll bottom out.
Thank you, Jack. Tonight is the 200th race in the history of the IZOD IndyCar Series. 86 of those races have had a margin of victory less than 1 second. And 42 different drivers have won at least one IndyCar race. Moments ago, the drivers present and past gathered for a special group photo to commemorate this occasion. Pretty cool. This is IndyCar Central on Versus, presented by Firestone. Stick with us. We're back in just a second.
Look at how many cars still have a shot in this race. Look at them slice and dice. Tony Kanaan going to the low side.
You're hanging on for your life every lap there. There's no way to hide. You're running 3 abreast into the corner, 15 cars all together. Yeah, it's great, but I mean, it's tough.
It's exciting. It's fun. It's, you know, it's the way racing should be.
That was nuts. I mean, that was crazier than any Texas race I've been in. You never could take a breath. It was just everybody all over each other the whole time.
You've got to race around people you trust.
I'm sure everybody's going to leave here pissed off at each other, but it's good for the sport.
I had so much fun out there. I never thought I could race overs like that.
I know you guys watched it and then enjoy it at home, but I was not enjoying it.
That's racing.
It's good to be back on the ovals.
And that was driver reaction after last week's race in Chicago. Now, 1 week later, 27 drivers are preparing to race side by side for 200 laps once again. Guess who else is going to be out there? Terrell Owens. There he is. He's sitting right behind IRL IndyCar, who will drive him in the 2-seater around this track. And it's kind of lonely out here. It's gotten really dark, and all the fans have gone inside to watch this race. So let's go up to the booth. Bob, Jan, and Robbie, 3 guys who like to get down with downforce.
Right.
Can you even believe I said that with a straight
No,
face?
no.
By the way, speaking of getting down, happy birthday, Bob.
Thank you.
Happy birthday,
to Robbie.
Thank
2
you.
days ago.
Yeah.
Well, when we talked with you last week at Chicagoland, the word we talked about was unpredictable. I think you can agree it was a very unpredictable race. But now this week, Robbie says the drivers are about to step into the unknown.
That's right. Chicago unpredictable, here unknown. Why is that? Well, yesterday in the final warm-up, there was a lot of drivers that really liked their race car. But the problem with it, that's a good thing. But the problem is it's about 20 degrees cooler right now, so that means they're going to have a different handling race car. So these engineers and drivers, they need to get what they figure can be the best changes to that race car so it maintains that balance in that race car. And if they don't get that done, they're really going to be holding on at the beginning of this thing.
And Robbie, you mentioned that word balance. And when you talk about balance, maybe the best description or best example of that was what happened to Will Power at the last race in Chicagoland. He had a big moment. He got the car right in the middle of the screen there. A big wiggle on lap number 5 told me he almost did not bring that car back. He said immediately, I went to the controls in the car.